Friday is here, and that is good news. The weather remains active with multiple chances for showers and storms over the next, week at least, as we go into April. Big shock, right? Let's talk about it in this Friday edition of the Texas Weather Roundup. Hello, it's Friday, the 28th of March, 2025. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Buddy-in-Chief David Reimer. First off, gotta say happy birthday to my mom, who I'll be going to see here along with the family in a little while. Yesterday ended up being quite unfortunately busy. We had a few tornado warnings, damaging straight-line winds. We may have had a brief tornado or two down the Rio Grande Valley, but then we ended up having a very significant flooding event with over 15 inches of rain in places like McAllen to Harlingen. We had quite a bit of flooding. I'm glad I was able to mention that in the live coverage yesterday for the one of like 3 tornado warnings I actually was on air to cover. And look, I'll be honest and upfront with y'all, because we try to do that, and I try to do that. A lot of the warnings information you got yesterday came from meteorologist Jason Cooley, who did an amazing job. I'll be honest. After the live stream, I spent about an hour and a half dealing with technical issues, getting things set up. And then I spent quite a bit of time yesterday dealing with the repercussions of some sort of a unhappy stomach bug. So, without going into more detail, clearly, I could have done better, and for that you have my apologies, but you live and learn, and you can only do the best you can. So, it is what it is. Was I happy about it? No, absolutely not. But that's me, myself, and I. All right, so let's just get into it. We do have a continued risk for a few severe storms today, a conditional risk. Tomorrow probably is going to be not active in the thunderstorm department, knock on wood. And then Sunday, we do see a risk return. Let's go ahead. We're going to keep doing the pattern we've been doing here because y'all seem to like it. It makes kind of marking these chapters easier. Here's the severe weather outlook for this afternoon and evening. And yes, I am getting a late start to this video. It's lunchtime already, and I'm just getting it out. So another demotion. Is that what it's called? Demotion? Whatever. Mark, no cookie for me. And Baldy-in-Chief, David Reimer. All right, I'm talking to myself. I need more caffeine. The Excedrin's doing its job. All right, so this is the severe weather outlook for this afternoon. We have a level 1 out of 5 risk for isolated severe storm potential. The Piney Woods of East Texas, the Toledo Bend Reservoir, Southeast Texas, the Golden Triangle, Upper, Middle, and Lower Texas Gulf Coast, down to the Rio Grande Valley. The potential is there, maybe a 1 in 5 chance, if that. We have a few storms go into rotation this afternoon in Southeast Texas, the Golden Triangle, Far East Texas, what we call mini supercells, and we'll look at that on the simulated high-res rapid refresh in a minute. But if that occurs, there's probably enough ingredients in place to support a risk for a few brief weak tornadoes. Now, I know a lot of y'all have storm anxiety. I want to make it abundantly clear. This is normal for this time of year. We're going to be dealing with risks in the next week. This is not one of these days where we're expecting many tornadoes. And though, if we have a tornado issue, there's a decent chance they're going to be very brief and weak. I don't think this is a day that's like late December or early January down here. But I know a lot of folks are triggered by that. So, hey, you're already in better shape than most folks because you're aware of the threat. And I want to emphasize, there's a pretty good chance nothing's going to happen, but there may be a few tornado warnings. So, main time frame, we're just going to say is between 2 and 3 p.m. through sunset. And then tonight through Saturday, first half of Sunday at least, we should be A-OK across the state. There is a non-zero risk for an isolated severe storm on Saturday. North Texas, Texoma, Central Texas, but it looks more likely than not the atmosphere is going to remain what we call capped, a lid on the atmosphere that prevents explosive thunderstorm development. That probably won't be the case for northern Oklahoma and Kansas, but for us, it probably will prevent storm development. We can't rule out 1 or 2 storms, and if we do get a storm, it's probably going to be throwing out baseball-size hail because it's going to be that kind of an atmosphere, but tomorrow looks decently capped, which I hope it is because I'm going to be traveling. In fact, I'm going to be traveling shortly after this video is posted. All right, this is the severe weather outlook for Sunday. Now, Sunday, we're going to have a cool front come on into the state of Texas. Ahead of that cool front, we're going to be on the tail end of a multi-state severe weather event. Looks like a pretty gnarly line of severe storms with hurricane-force winds possible to our northeast up into the Great Lake region of the United States. We get to play tail end Charlie again. The potential for isolated scattered severe storms Sunday afternoon through Sunday evening. Texoma, eastern Texoma, North Texas, central Texas, the Brazos Valley, southeast Texas, the Golden Triangle, East Texas, northeast Texas, the Arklatex, the Piney Woods of East Texas, Toledo Bend Reservoir area. Now, this does not look like a particularly favorable setup for tornadoes in Texas. We're going to have pretty anemic or weak low-level wind shear. We're going to have what's called a unidirectional hodograph, mostly, which would typically favor the stronger storms producing hail. It's almost April, so hail is definitely a thing. Damaging wind gusts. It's going to be hot and toasty, unstable air mass, and maybe a brief tornado. We'll keep an eye on it, of course, but it looks like a broken line of thunderstorms, maybe some storms out ahead of that line with some hail, some wind, Sunday afternoon into early Sunday evening. For what it's worth, tornado threat right now looks very low. We're going to be here to cover it in detail as necessary while I'm traveling for the remainder of today, knock on wood. And tomorrow, we already are planning to be in office land on Sunday to provide detailed, continuous coverage if necessary. All right, so that's a severe weather outlook for Sunday. Let's pop over to the high-res. Actually, no, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at the forecast rain totals next few days. Now, this is through, Monday, 31st. And again, technically, this is probably into early April. We're expecting another round of storms on Sunday. This does include the stuff for the remainder of this afternoon and evening. So, maybe a half inch of rain. Eastern Texoma, North Texas, Central Texas, Northeast Texas, East Texas, the Brazos Valley. We could see 1 to 3 inches of additional rain. Golden Triangle, Southeast Texas. We should be mostly done in the Rio Grande Valley outside of a few rogue showers. And then parts of South Texas, we could see another half inch of rain in spots. The crazy catastrophic flooding should be done. And where the rain is moving now, for the most part, is dry. So we should be able to handle that without any significant widespread flooding hazards. Clearly, though, we'll have to keep a very close eye on deep South Texas and the Rio Grande Valley for the foreseeable future, since y'all are definitely out of drought for the most part, and your soils are definitely saturated. All right, this is going to be the high-res rapid refresh model for the remainder of this afternoon, tonight, into Saturday. You can see this model is sparking off renewed thunderstorm development this afternoon in southeast Texas, east Texas, the Golden Triangle, and some of those storms could go into rotation. We may have to keep an eye out for a few tornado warnings. Again, this is not expected to be a day where we're having long track angry tornadoes, but if we have one brief tornado today and it causes roof damage or blows your fence down, knocks trees down, and it comes down your street, it's a problem. So we'll definitely do our best to keep you updated on that here and on the social media channels. Otherwise, activity is going to move out of Texas by late tonight, with Saturday expected to be pretty calm across the state. Now, it's going to be windy. We're still going to have clouds, but that lid on the atmosphere should, and I emphasize in bold, should prevent thunderstorm development tomorrow in Texas. But we can't rule out a storm or two in Texoma, North Texas, Central Texas, and if one goes, it's going to be dropping pretty big hail. Sunday, which we'll talk about here in a minute, looks to be more active with the possibility of scattered thunderstorms. Now, here we go. Here's the long-range American weather model, the global forecast system. You can see this model does have scattered storms underway by, let's just say, 2 p.m. Sunday. East Texas, Northeast Texas, with perhaps a broken line of storms moving into Southeast Texas, the Golden Triangle, late Sunday afternoon, early Sunday evening. Strongest storms capable of producing hail, large hail, damaging straight-line winds, maybe a tornado. Again, tornado threat doesn't look particularly impressive in Texas right now, but we'll keep an eye on it. We're still 3 days away-ish, so things can change. After that, that goes bye-bye. Monday, we're looking good. Tuesday, we're looking good. Wednesday, the opportunity for a similar setup to Sunday with maybe some scattered severe storms returning to parts of northeast Texas, east Texas, southeast Texas. And then as we get into Thursday, well, I'll be honest with you, it looks active across the southern U.S., but we're just going to have to see how things line up. You can see this model does have storms in Oklahoma on Thursday of next week. Here is the Storm Prediction Center Severe Weather Outlook. We do note the possibility of scattered severe storms next Wednesday, the 2nd of April. Northeast Texas, East Texas, parts of North Texas, and the northern Brazos Valley. Kind of like how Sunday's shaping up to be in the extended range where we showed it a few days ago. So clearly we're remaining fairly active going into April, which, well, is to be expected because it's April, our spring severe weather season. That being said, we're certainly doing a lot better than we were in previous years where we were already dealing with tornadoes at the wazoo by now. Knock on wood, we can, get some more rain for areas that need it without the, baseball-sized hail and all that hoopla. All right. Wildfire danger the next few days. Now, today, high fire danger, the Panhandle, out to the borderland of far west Texas around El Paso, the Guadalupe Davis Mountains, the Trans-Pecos. Low to moderate fire danger rest of the state. For Saturday and Sunday, the southeastern, eastern half of Texas, low to moderate fire danger. Things looking much better compared to, say, last week and previous weeks. Western half of the state, we're back into our typical, early spring routine of very high to extreme fire danger with gusty winds, warm temperatures, maybe a wee bit of blowing dust. We're not doing the whole hurricane force wind nonsense, blowing dust all the way to New York City again, but the fire danger is back after a couple days of less active danger. So Saturday, Sunday, very high to extreme fire danger possible. West Texas, the Permian Basin, the Big Country, the Concho Valley, western North Texas, essentially areas west of the dry line into the Permian Basin. I said that already. Oh, well, y'all get mentioned twice. Congratulations. The Trans-Pecos, the Guadalupe Mountains, the Davis Mountains, the Borderland, the Big Bend, and northern Edwards Plateau. All right, temperatures over the next few days. Guess what? It is on the cooler side today. Highs topping out in the low to mid 70s with maybe a couple upper 70s, low 80s, eastern half of the state where we have more cloud cover. Western half of the state, mid to upper 80s, low 90s. Tomorrow, clouds go away, the sun comes out, the 90s are back. Throughout, we have northwest Texas, the Big Country, the Concho Valley, parts of the Hill Country, the Edwards Plateau, the Permian Basin, the Rio Grande Plains. Temperatures in the 90s. For what it's worth, deep south Texas, the coastal bend, southeast Texas is going to be really stinking humid this weekend, especially after the rain. So heat index values, what it's going to feel like, temperature, probably above 100 degrees. It's going to feel like it would in June and July. Congratulations. I hope you're ready for the mosquitoes. Going into Sunday, cool front moving in the Panhandle, 60s and 70s. Everyone else, 80s and 90s. Going into Monday, cool front sags farther south. You can see temperatures 60s northern third of the state, 70s northern two-thirds of the state, or the center row of the state if you prefer. And then southern third of the state, y'all remain toasty with highs in the 80s and 90s. And then by Tuesday, we're back to normal for what will be early April. 80s for most, low 90s and upper 70s on either said side of the average spectrum. All right. Woo. Sorry. Apparently the allergies are kicking in. Shocking. So it is Friday, which means it is time for us to give a shout out to our Spinny Doomers here on the Texas Weather Center. That is the highest membership tier we currently offer, and as part of the benefit of being that, we give you a verbal shout out here every Friday in the Texas Weather Roundup. Now, I am going to try to optimize this by saying blanketly, thank you very much for being a Spinny Doomer here on the Texas Weather Center. And now I'm going to thank each of you. Anthony R. Pelosi Jr., Ryan Tucker, r/Tornado Chats, Love, Live, Laugh, Paranoid Pocho, Jen Kim, Justin S., Wade, Tanya McGee, J.A., S00 Patik, Samantha Dolson, Nancy Rosenberg, Ryan, Deanna, and Jennifer, Texas Girl. New Way, NWY. I'll figure it out for next week. So, thank you to everybody here. Ryan Tucker is actually one of the sponsors here that helps us bring you the 24/7 live Texas weather stream. So, with that being said, I am going to be traveling later this afternoon and evening into Saturday because it is Mother's birthday. She hates it when I call her Mother. That's okay. Mom's birthday. So, we're going to take care of that. We're going to be there for that because family comes first. That being said, I will do my best to be available if we need to do some live stream cut-ins this afternoon for tornado warnings. But in all likelihood, I'm going to be in the middle of a traffic jam. I will be mostly unavailable Saturday, which is okay because the weather looks decent. But I will try to crank out a video update Saturday afternoon-ish with an update on the potential for severe storms on Sunday across the eastern third of the state. And then we'll be here Sunday for sure with at least one video update in the morning hours and then possibly live severe weather coverage if needed Sunday afternoon. And then we're back to the usual schedule next week where we post Texas weather roundups, usually in the morning hours, but then you have rogue days like this where Baldy in Chief took his lazy pill and essentially procrastinated until lunchtime. So, it is what it is. I will admit to my faults. That's going to be it. You can always get your local weather forecasts, interactive weather radar, daily Texas weather roundups, and more in the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app. Just search for Texas Storm Chasers where you download apps to your device. You can also find us on the web, texasstormchasers.com/radar. We'll keep an eye on things. Hopefully, you don't have to see any more of me for the next day or two, and we'll see you soon. Have a good Friday, enjoy your weekend, and God bless.